Hey everyone, it's Darla Kirchner here and my good friend Emily Petroff, and we do this fun little blab show on Fridays. It's every other Friday, and we like to share what is affecting our career and how we can help, maybe give some advice on things that are going right and some things that are going wrong, and just talk through it. And so today we're talking about how to polarize your brand and why you might want to think about that and what polarizing is and all that kind of good stuff. So, and just, Emily actually had an experience that kind of got us going and thinking about about this subject. And I thought, hey, this is a great subject to talk about. So I am a brand designer and strategist, and I love branding. I'm obsessed with it. I love to brand and do design work for entrepreneurs and small businesses, particularly people who really want to focus online and want to get their business online and want to draw attention and to find their tribe. So that's a little bit about me. So Emily, why don't you introduce yourself and say good morning? Good morning, everybody. Hi, Julie.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. I'm Emily Petroff, and I am a coach. I do a lot of different things, but primarily I work with small business owners and entrepreneurs that want to invest in all areas of their life. I feel like in my own experience, when I've gone super crazy and focused on my business, I've maybe let my health slide and my relationship slide. And so I like to be able to teach people how I have benefited from investing in my relationships, my health, and my business all equally, so that you can live a more fulfilled life and feel like if you were hit by a bus today, you would still feel good about the way you went out, rather than, dang it, I wish I would have went to my kid's basketball game or whatever. So I'm kind of a balance girl. I'm really passionate about balancing your business and your life.
Yes, and she does a very good job at it. In fact, you might have been subtly my inspiration for my word this year, which is being centered, which is about being balanced. And I'm feeling like I've gotten more of it. So that's been very cool. So welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us. Mostly Primal Jody. Nice to meet you guys. Glad you guys are here. We're talking about being polarizing with your brand, which trying to really attract the right tribe is really what it's all about. And so, Em, you want to share your story a little bit about why?
Yeah. So Darla and I I was telling her a little story that happened to me a few weeks ago, and we started talking about this, and we thought, this would be a really great topic to share on Blab. And so I've been told for a very, very long time that when you get your first hater, you get your first critic, that you've really made it. And I kind of, I really struggled with that. I didn't really understand that whole thing. Well, let me tell you, I got my first hater a few weeks ago. This person went to the trouble to send me a typed letter, no return address, no signature on the letter. So it came in the mail, and it was just tearing down some posts that I put on Facebook, and how, I'm very transparent with my journey, and I always share, how far I've come and the things that I'm still working on and how far I have to go. And I occasionally will drop an F-bomb, or, I'm a girl who swears, right? And I don't really hide that. And this person was very, very taken back by some of the language. And I don't even think that post that I wrote, I think I may have said that I used to be a over 300-pound bitch who railroaded people. And so there was all of this stuff, this very long letter about how I'm very polarizing. And so when I wrote my response, I did an open letter response. And so I responded to the person's letter from my perspective. I sent them lots of love and light, because that's who I am. I know that, they're open, or they're welcome to their opinion of me as much as I'm welcome and open to my opinion of me. And, when we got to the polarizing piece, I really was like, amen, that I'm polarizing. Like, I don't want to be everything to everyone. Like, there's going to be some people that resonate with my message, even though I may use language that, that may work for them. And there's going to be some people that are turned off by it, whether it's because of the language or because of, some people don't like my energy. Some people go, whoa, like that's just way too much for me. And some people are like, yes, I love that. I want more of that. So I really was happy with the fact that it was that I'm putting myself out there in a way that is polarizing, and people have an opportunity to really learn whether they or to identify whether I'm a fit for them and somebody that they really want to follow, or whether they are turned off by it and they need to go find somebody else who is more in alignment with them. And so I just thought it would be a great topic for us to kind of bring up, because Darla and I really got into it when she and I were talking about it. So we just wanted to share it with all of you and kind of talk a little bit about that and what all of your experience has been. So that's kind of the story that happened. And so
yeah, it was a great story, a great topic, and a great conversation. And it's interesting because Robert's telling you to breathe, Emily.
I have learned how to multitask this and breathing, baby. Like, you have no idea.
And he also said that you were like a Duracell bunny. You're like the Duracell bunny. And she is. That's just who she is. And I think that is really the essence of this, to me, the whole topic is that you have to be authentic. You have to be who you are and embrace that and share that with people, with your community, with your clients, because those are the people that, either they're going to either like you for that reason or they won't. And if they don't, that's okay. That's okay. Because then they're not your tribe. And then, hopefully you want them to go find their own people. And I think that's kind of why, I think you and I kind of balance each other off. We kind of bring balance because you are the Energizer bunny. And sometimes I I just take a seat back and let you go. So yeah, I think it's Jody makes a very good point. We really want you guys to be a part of this conversation. If somebody wants to come into the seat, then feel free to hop in. And just let us know that you want to hop in and you want to share, and I'll open it up. But I think it's a great topic. Is that you can't please everybody, and you shouldn't, because that's the difference. I think I learned that the hard way. For a while there, I would be inspired by so many different people, and I love what they do, and I love what they do, and I try to. But you have to. People come to you for what you do and what your swing on things. I mean, let's face it, there's lots of coaches in the world. There's lots of branding people in the world. There's lots of online entrepreneurs in the world. So what makes you different is you. And so that's my, I actually have a little bit of tea going. So I got a little caffeine going. So I might be able to keep up with you a little bit more today.
You always keep up. So I actually am curious. I kind of wanted to open the discussion from a branding perspective, Darla, so you can kind of shed some light on this for me and for some of the other people here with us. So it's great that we should be, not trying to be everything to everyone. And from a branding perspective, what does polarizing mean to you? And or how can we, if maybe I'm somebody who doesn't feel like I'm polarizing my brand, what are some things that I can do to get that going?
Well, great question. That's a great question. And one of the things I would tell you is really to listen to your inner self, listen to your intuition. I think it kind of goes back to foundational things that literally I am relearning myself, over the last couple of months, things that I wish I would have known years ago and taken more seriously years ago. So knowing what your purpose is, knowing what your mission is. Those are the two biggest things. Your purpose never changes. If you listen to Simon Sinek, and I'm a big proponent of his, you start with your why. Why do you do what you do? And that inspires you. And if you start talking about that, what inspires you to do what you do, why you get up in the morning, and why why do you keep continuing doing it, then that will help find, ways for you to polarize people, because, that's something that when I reevaluated myself again, and it's constantly, I'm always evolving. As entrepreneurs and business people, we're always evolving. And if we're not, we're dying. And so, and so you either, you keep doing it or you don't, right? But I think that's something that, when I realized that I like to do meaningful work. I like to work. For me, it's about being purposeful. For me, it's about being meaningful. It's about being authentic. And so I want to work with those type of people. So I need to dig deeper and share that with the people in my community, on my email list, in my tribe. And when I'm talking on social media and places like Blab, those are the people I want to work with. So it's, I want to align myself with them, and I want them to, find me too. So I think the more you talk about that kind of stuff, the easier it's going to be for people to realize that. And knowing what your mission is, once you figure out what your purpose is, then define your mission. What is your mission? What do you want to do? What stake in the ground do you want to make? Brendon Burchard taught us that, hang your hat on something. What drives you? And so when you do that, I think that that will really help give you clarity to find out how you can do more of it and be consistent in it. So like, somebody, there are some amazing people that are branding people and designers in the world, and they all have their own take on things. And so I think that, somebody who is, someone who is, really vivacious and loud, and, I know branders that, they tell people, I talk like a sailor. This is who I am, and so if that aligns with you, then you need to be working with that person. So you're going to want to work more with that person. And the same thing with entrepreneurs. There are entrepreneurs that I admire because they are authentic in who they are. And it may not be somebody that I, would want to work with, or, and I've had people that said, I don't get that person. Well, that's good. Then they've done a good job, right? Then they've done their job. They're expressing who they are. They're letting their inside out. They're letting their personality show. And that to me is really what will help you, some of the baby steps. So really, defining, what your purpose is, what is your why, and then really defining what your mission is, and then holding to that. And your mission might evolve, after you've grown and you evolve, but your purpose should never change. So there you go.
I think that's awesome. So I wanted Jody has some experience in this arena. And so I thought maybe it'd be good to have him hop in and share a little bit. And he said he's about to get way more polarizing. And so while we're giving him an opportunity to hop in, I wanted to add one more little story that we talked about that when you were talking about Brendon Burchard and the Experts Academy that we went to. Frank Kern, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Frank Kern, but
yes, very polarizing.
Brendon had Frank Kern on his stage while we were there, and yes, wow, like so polarizing, right? But the thing that I loved, he's somebody that I resonated with on many levels, and he is just unapologetically himself, like doesn't give a crap who, it was just like, I was inspired not only by his message and what he teaches his clients, but just by who he was standing on the stage. And some people were so offended by his language and by what he was, his position and how arrogant he was. And the ego was so big that they just were out. They just got up and left. And I thought, it's sad sometimes. I think that even if you don't agree with the way the message is being delivered, if you can get, remove yourself from the attachment that you have to it being delivered in a specific way and just get the message, there was so much value in what he was sharing. And so I was sad for the people that left, because I think there could have been, and maybe they wouldn't have gotten it just because, but I'm like, I always work hard to try and even if the delivery is off, is there something in here that I need to be getting, even if I'm not in alignment with the delivery? So anyway, I just remembered that story. We had kind of talked about it. So
yeah, that's a great thought. I'm glad you brought that up, because I remember the same thing. There was actually a couple different speakers, and they were all they were very much in tune to who they were. And, so you had Brendon Burchard, who's all about, living life to your fullest and all of that stuff. And then you had Frank Kern, and then you had Jeff Walker. They all have they really let their personality out. And that's really, I think, the bottom line. So Jody, what is your thoughts? Tell us a little about who you are.
Yes, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm a paleo and primal centric health coach and trainer. Okay. And that immediately puts me at odds with most of the trainers out there and most of the conventional wisdom in diet and health. I've been doing it a few years now. I used to be an athlete and I used to be a paramedic, so I have kind of a background in it to begin with. But then I went through a period where I got out of the fire service, got into construction management, got lazy, got fat, got fatter and fatter and fatter, and became diabetic. And it was in a position where I had to make a transformation, and I lost 250 pounds.
That's awesome. Way to go.
And along the way,
for that.
I ran into a lot of stumbling blocks trying to figure out how. So I dove in deep and got just about every certification I can imagine, made a lot of mistakes along the way, and then figured out a better path. And, to my mind, the paleo path, primal path, ancestral path works for most people most of the time. Not everyone. Everybody's unique. But just that approach alone, even though paleo is getting more popular, it puts me at odds with all the local trainers, all the online trainers, and all the health coaches. So I'm attacked locally by all the low-paid trainers that are in the gyms working for $10 an hour, slinging the same old advice because they're threatened that I charge so much, and they say, how dare you charge as much as you charge, and you're telling these people all the wrong things. And then, I'm attacked online, for pretty much the same thing, because my dietary advice is heresy according to, the Diabetic Association, the Heart Association, and most of the conventional wisdom still, even though medicine's coming around. And I've just gotten kind of sick of it. And I'm to the point now where, you know what, I'm through apologizing for it. I'm going to rebrand, and I'm going to make my branding something similar to, your doctor doesn't know what he's talking about, and it's probably not his fault, but your trainer's an idiot, and I can prove it.
I love it. That's fantastic. Okay.
So you can see why I'm polarizing.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think you have to be, you obviously this has worked for you. I mean, it's obvious it's worked for you. So I think that's something that, and just embrace it and give it time, and find the right, and just keep talking to the right people, just bringing it out there and sharing it with people. I think that your story and what's worked for you and the people that you've helped, testimonials are always great to have, all of that will help you to find the right people or for the right people to find you. So I think that's great that what you're doing. That's amazing. Great job.
Well, thanks. But it's, again, it's just funny. I found this chat because, I'm attacked all the time, and I just kind of shrug it off now. And I have been telling people, well, find somebody that resonates with you and go talk to them, because I acknowledge that my approach, there's other ways to get a similar result, even though I think there's still underlying problems with their approach. But I'm okay with anybody trying anything that works for them. Just don't waste your time attacking me, because I'm not going to hear it. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
And that's what you should do. And that you've got the right mindset. I think, I think that, what's working, and the goal is to have one little sliver, to have the right people come to you that you want to work with, because, the people that are attacking and stuff, you wouldn't want to work with them anyway.
No, exactly. I wasted a lot of time at first trying to bring them around to my way of thinking. And to some extent, I still try that a little bit. I'll still present them some evidence and let them make up their own mind, but it never works.
Right. That's how, What do you think, Em?
I think you just made a really important point for, like, I'm going to walk away from this today with this point, at least up to this moment in the blab. But I think it's an important point for all of us to remember, is that we can spend a lot of time, especially when we are polarizing our brand, or we're very polarizing in the way that we share our message. We can spend a lot of time trying to convince those people who are not in alignment with it that we are the right thing for them. And I live in a small community in Montana, right? Compared to a lot of other places, it's a small community. And so I would say for the first probably 2.5 years that I was running my coaching business, I spent a lot of time trying to educate people and help them understand that coaching is not about counseling or therapy, although the results sometimes are therapeutic, and you don't have to have something wrong with you to have a coach. And I was damn exhausted every day, right? I mean, sucks the freaking life right out of you. And so I think that that's something that's really important to remember when you go is that, you know, let those people be, let those people go. They're not going to be the ones. And the more that I have stepped into my authenticity and stopped trying to be liked by those people or stopped trying to be the thing that made sense for them, more doors have opened me. And I can even say, even in the last 8 weeks, like I've got very clear about what it is that I'm doing and who I can help. And even on a local level, I'm showing up the way that I would show up here, there, anywhere with my friends, with my family. And I'm getting more, I'm attracting those people that are in alignment with my message. Now, there are people who are still disturbed probably by who I am. And, you know, just my sheer presence in the room bothers them. But I think like, it's okay, right? We can all coexist in this little meeting room for the next 45 minutes or wherever we might be. But I think you're making an excellent point. You know, that want to convince somebody that what you've got for them is, you know, powerful, and that, you know what, for some people it won't be because they're resistant to it from the beginning. So it's exhausting to try and get them there.
And that's a good point about the resistance too. And they can be resistant for a bunch of reasons too. And in my case, right, you know, it's usually habit, you know, and societal pressure or societal norm, and the fact that I'm often asking them to give up stuff that they're physically addicted to. Mm-hmm. So I try not to push too hard until they're ready, but sometimes it's still so hard not to fight and not to try to convince, though. Mm-hmm. I know the body of new science is on my side, and I want to be an evangelist for this stuff and help everybody fix their lives. But right, some people just aren't there.
Yeah.
Well, and they're never going to be there. Those people are never going to be there. And so you got to let them go. Yeah. I think Julie makes a really good point. You got 3 types: lovers, haters, and I can't say that word.
Ambivalence.
Ambivalence. They're never, you know, but ambivalence can be swayed. Haters won't be swayed. And I totally agree with that. You know, people that aren't going to get it aren't going to get it. And you just got to let them go. I think, you know, I have a friend of mine who, she is really into historical. They're like, you know, they have MBAs in history and early, 1800s lifestyle and things, and they're very much into like paleo and really embrace that. So I think, you know, finding, you know, surrounding yourself around that niche of people, finding that tribe and really kind of going in that direction, you know, because you'll be happier because that's where you're going to feel the best. I mean, if you're, you know, I could talk all day and all night about the benefits of yoga and meditation. But if that's not something that you're into, it's gonna go in one ear, not the other. So why? You know, so for me, it's more about, you know, staying with, you know, my tribe and knowing that and keep practicing it, you know, keep talking about it and trying to find the right people that surrounding yourself in that environment.
But sometimes don't you find yourself seeing somebody that you just know would benefit from it so much, and if you could only convince them, and then you stop and catch yourself like, nah, never mind.
Yeah. Yes. I could. Yes.
So oh, go ahead, Darla. I'm sorry, hon.
No, guys. You know, I was just going to say that can happen, and I've learned though I've really learned to let that go. I mean, you're just not going to. I mean, I can see them now. And that's one thing. If you really try this, Jody, try really defining who's your ideal client. Have you worked with them already? Do you know who they are? So then, you know, and focus on them. You know, keep talking to them. You know, when you're blogging, when you're on Blab, when you're on social media, share things that are going to help them. And then, you know, so when when you're in a conversation with someone and you know that they're not that person, I wouldn't even go there. I wouldn't waste my time.
How do you guys deal with fear for resistance though? Because a lot of times the people that need me most are curious and they've tried everything, but the fear because they've tried everything and don't want to give in to one more thing. A lot of times fear prevents them where they otherwise at least have an inkling that this might be the right thing for them.
So I'll give my 2 cents, and I actually want to ask you guys a question also. And this might be helpful to somebody who is starting off on the polarizing. They're like, yes, I want to be more polarizing. I feel like I'm not as, I'm not attracting the right folks, right, that I really want to serve. And so one of the ways that I think I started first, because oftentimes it's easier for us to know who isn't a fit for us than who is a fit for us. So sometimes you can start by saying, and I'll give you one that I know is not a fit for me. Somebody who has a really, really strong religious affiliation will not align with me. And I will not align with them. And so I'm not trying to offend anyone here, but I know that for me, it's more about spirituality. So somebody has to be very open-minded to other thoughts and other people's ways of thinking, their belief systems, in order for me to be a good fit in terms of a coach for them, or even on a friendship level. Like, it's very challenging for me to be, I can coexist with them in a space. I can have an open discussion with them. I can let them have their viewpoint and I can have mine, but I don't really want to invest in a relationship with somebody who's very rigid, like, you're going to go to hell because of this, or this is, I struggle with that. I really got a problem with that. So sometimes you can start off by saying, this type of person is not a fit for me. Or if you're this, my message won't make sense for you, right? And that kind of helped me get some clarity when I first started this, until you can get to the, okay, so that means the opposite of somebody who has a strong religious affiliation might mean that you're open. You believe that there's lots of different belief systems out there that can serve people in their life and can support them through things. And so I was just curious, first of all, about your question, or about that, how you guys felt about, when you're starting, if kind of identifying who's not a fit for you can help you get clear about who is a fit for you, right? And how you can polarize yourself or your brand a little bit more. And then as far as the fear, one of the things that I do more than anything is probably I use myself as an example to people, right? I will say, I was afraid, right? This is the exact phrase that I used in that post that I was just telling you about. I said, I was an over 300-pound bitch who absolutely railroaded everyone around me just to prove a point, right? Here are the things that I did. Here's the experience that I had. Now, I don't know if that's you or not, but if it is, I can identify with you. Here are the things that I did to get through what I was up against, right? Here are the things that, so I put myself, or the things that you feel like they're challenged with or they're up against, you probably felt those at one point, right? You probably experienced that to some extent or to some degree. Or you might say, some of my clients are afraid. They've tried every freaking program under the sun and half of them didn't work. Or, they worked for a while and then it wasn't something that they could, whatever it is that you feel like they're up against, rather than saying, you're afraid. People don't like to be called on their stuff, right? But if there's other people that you can use to show them and they can go, yeah, maybe I am afraid. Yeah, maybe I am this. Or yeah, that would be my approach to how I would get somebody's buy-in, so to speak, if you feel like it's fear that's keeping them from fear. We've talked about fear on the show almost all the time. Fear is something that just gets in the way of people making decisions in all areas of their life, I think.
Yeah, totally agree.
One of the things I do, and it's not always applicable across all coaching types, but one of the things that I like to do is temporary measures. Try to get their buy-in by trying to get them to do something temporarily. Mm-hmm. Like for me, a big thing is eliminating sugar is a non-negotiable. If you're going to work with me, you have to do that. But then I moved to wheat and grains, and first of all, they're addicted to carbohydrates. And they're addicted to the chemical in the wheat, literally addicted. The zonulin is like an opiate. So when I suggest that, look, I want to do this for at least 30 days, well, 30 days isn't forever. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I get over their fear in little pieces too. Yep. Mm-hmm. And that's, we don't have to do this forever.
Right. And I think that's it. It's baby steps. Sometimes it's just baby steps, for them to get used to it. I know I'm working with Emily, kind of doing this, doing the same thing. We're eliminating sugar and eliminating, big carbohydrates, and doing it with protein and good carbohydrates and things like that. And it's made a big difference. So knowing that when she was, and she didn't have to sell me on it. I think you have to be in the right frame of mind too. Going into it, you have to be ready to make a commitment to change. And, I was in the right place. And then when she said to me, Darla, let's try this for a month, I could do a month. So, and now I'm committed. So I think that has to do with it too, because we all have our fears, and so maybe just like baby stepping into it, and then sharing some of those stories. When you're working with people too, Jody, like this, what has worked for other people, or stories of fears that they had, and now look at them. What are the transformations of has helped them. For me, it's like getting older. It's not so much about what I weigh. Yes, I want to be healthy. I want to make sure that I don't have to take pills to keep my cholesterol levels down and things like that. So knowing, again, I think knowing who your client, who your target audience is, and really talking to them to give them some tips on what can help them will really help. I know there's some great conversations going on over here in the chat box too. Julie's got some great observations here. She said, yes, we like to help people. It's hard to watch people make poor choices. And yes, I think we're all very service oriented, and we do this because we love it. We're passionate about what we do, and we want to help everybody, but you've got to know that you can't, that not everyone's going to love what, or want to listen to what we have to say. So it is hard. And then,
the thing, I want to make a comment about that really quick though. And I think that I agree with that. I think it's hard to watch people making choices like that. And at the same time, the thing that I've really had to realize is that my perception of their choice may not be what's right for them, right? So sometimes what their choice in making, like, it may be one of those situations and scenarios where or the program is not a good fit for them because of whatever reason, right? So sometimes I really have to just remind myself and send them, like, allow people to have another path, allow people to have another belief system. There's a lot of stuff out there, guys. There's a lot of solutions out there that don't involve any of us, and they work for people, right? So it's like, I hate to be so rigid that it's like, this is the end all be all. And I think, I feel like we can go too far on the other side of things where this is something you have to do. Guess what? You don't have to. And I think when you say you have to do this, or this is something, it becomes extremely salesy, and like, I'm fine, I've been doing fine, and I'm going to keep doing, so it can be something that keeps people away because it's too rigid. So I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Can you be too polarizing? Is there such a thing as that?
I think you can be. Then that, I do believe you can be a little polarizing. I think there's a fine line, and I think that I love what you said about, giving the people the option, letting them know that it's okay, that there are other ways, and you understand that. This is what's working for you. This is what's working for your clients, and they've gotten success from it. I think some of the people over here were saying something about, Robert talks about it's important to separate those who fear success and those who fear failure. And I think that's something, to keep in mind too. So, I think you can be. And, but it's, I think, there's a fine line. You got to know, there's with being, professional as well. I mean, there are people that I follow that are online that, they are, to look at them, you'd never know how successful they are, but because they are so true and authentic to who they are, that they are attracting people like droves. Mm-hmm. And, there have been some things that, that they have said that I don't get offended by, but it's a little off-putting. You just go, really? That wasn't quite necessary. But I still like them. I still admire them. And so, so I think you just got to watch what you say and make sure that, you give people the option and let them know. I think that helps. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, Julie, I think, made two really important points. She said asking people questions, to explore how ambivalent to what you've got going on is. I am a huge fan of asking questions, right? Putting it back on their plate so that you can really find out where they are in regard to, can you bring them over here, or are they just really going to go the other way? And I think those questions are really important because, like Jody was saying, you don't want to. It can be exhausting to try and convince somebody. So the question piece is really important. Before I give people advice, I ask them where they're at to kind of feel that out. And I'm always really careful that I'm not positioning it so that they're wrong in what they believe, right? It's a belief. It doesn't mean that it's wrong necessarily. It's just what has worked for them up till this point may not be the thing that works for them moving forward, right? And then the other thing that I loved that she said is that it's important to let them know that it's okay not to take your advice, right? And that builds trust. And I can't even tell you how many times I have had a client locally be like, I don't really get what you're doing, and there's some major resistance there, right? They don't get it. And then they'll come back to me and I'm like, okay, good. No, go. I actually have a couple of therapists that I'll recommend to you, or counselors. Like, I'm not a therapist or a counselor. I am a coach. And there's difference between those things. And then they'll come back to me and say, that was a great experience for me. I learned some stuff, but now I'm ready for this. Or I want to try something different. So I think that, if I had been so rigid, like, well, you're going to, good luck with your shitty experience over there with them, they would never have come back to me, right? So I think it really is about giving them lots of love and light and sending them off out into the world to figure out whatever it is they need to figure out, and know that I'm always here for you if there's something that I can do,
Right. Yeah, I think great. I think that's great advice from you and Julie both. It's like that whole butterfly thing. Let them go. If they come back, they were meant to be. Mm-hmm. So I think, and that I think is having a what's the right word I'm trying to look for? A self-assurance in what you do, believing in what you do so much that you can just let them go, give them the advice, and then let them make their decision, because that's really ultimately it's up to them, and you can't. They're going to either want to do it or not, or want to try. And I think the idea of, trying, giving them the option is a great thing to do. And that's something, just keep talking to them. I mean, that's stuff that I, like, even like if you're working on a program or something, giving people, here, you try it for free for 30 days or 15 days and see if it works. If it doesn't work for you, then I'll refund your money, and own that, honor that, because you're not going to make everybody happy. Is something I think is really good. So yeah. So what's everybody else? So any other comments or questions? What are you thinking about things, Jody?
Well, I think it's a great conversation. I was thinking about the the comment about letting people know it's okay not to take your advice, and to an extent, I agree with that. But there's also some hesitation there sometimes too, because I know with what I'm doing, if they don't. Everything is so interrelated that if they don't take all the pieces together, they're not going to get the result. So when I'm in a position like that where somebody wants to not take the results, I at least feel like I have to give them the disclaimer and say, look, that's fine. Go do whatever you think works for you. But here's what I anticipate is going to happen to you when you're doing that. And when you're through playing with that and trying that, come back and we'll do it the way I suggested, and we'll see what kind of result you get there.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really great point. I have a client who refused to. My program is different than Jody's, but I have a client who refused one piece of the. She was like adamant about she was going to have to eat this one thing that was like I like that's not part of the program, right? I don't want you eating that. And so I finally said to her, you get to decide to do, like, ultimately you're your final decision maker. I'm just going to tell you that I know that the program works if you follow it this way. Once you begin to deviate from that, you deviate from the results that we know are going to, that will come for you. So just be realistic about how far you're deviating from it, and let's just monitor and manage that. And I think you do have to have some non-negotiables. I love that you say, like, I won't personally work with anybody who's not willing to give up sugar or who's not willing to give up this. There will be people that just are not able to do that for whatever reason, right? Whether it's an addiction or they're just, so I think do you feel like it makes it harder for you to find people? Like, do you feel like your pipeline isn't as full as you'd like it to be because of, I think that's what keeps people afraid, maybe a Polarizing too, is not only, the kickback or the backlash that can come from being that strong and out there, but also, do you feel like it eliminates, I know that was a big concern for me for a long time, like, I'm going to eliminate these people and I know I can help them.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, especially, one one of the groups that I focus on the most is type 2 diabetics. And, I mean, they're in a bad place, first of all. They really need to get it under control to reclaim their health. And if they do what I tell them to do, it's going to work. They're going to reduce the systemic inflammation. They're going to reduce their insulin load, and they're going to have all these hormonal shifts that are beneficial. But if they start out picking and choosing, what they're going to do, it's not going to have the effect. The systemic inflammation isn't going to go away, and then you're not going to have the positive cascade with the other parts. So what I typically have prescribed for them right off the bat is a 30-day elimination. The first thing we do is get them off of sugar, off of wheat, and as soon as I say off of wheat, you can see the sweat and the panic.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to give up their bread. Nobody wants to give up their wheat. Nobody wants to give up their carbs. And even with the caveat that, look, you don't have to do this more than 30 days if you don't find it effective. Knowing, of course, that they're going to find such relief in 30 days that they will stay with it, or at least if they lapse, they're going to come back to it.
Right.
But the problem is that is completely off-putting to some people. And even the 30 days, people cannot fathom giving up their bread or their toast or their English muffin or, their bran muffin for 30 days sometimes. And yeah, it does turn a lot of people off. And I think if they just give it a chance, it would be great for them. But again, they're apparently just not ready.
Yeah. And I think some people aren't ready, for whatever it is that we have, and it takes them a little longer. And I think the other thing too, like that I notice is, and I'm sure Jody, you can completely appreciate this, but I think this is true not only in the health and wellness field, but in all of our businesses experience times where the mental mindset around whatever it is that you're trying to do. I mean, if you go even to let's say you go to a high level business coach, right? They're going to ask you to do things that you're not doing right now in your business to get a different result, right? And it's going to be scary. It's going to be hard. It's going to be, you're going to go, oh my God, I can't do that. I can't do that because of this, or and all of a sudden here you start plucking those excuses out of the clouds as a way to justify how far you've already come. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I hired a coach, and the stuff she asked me to do was so scary that I was like, well, I've been successful already. Like, and I felt all this stuff coming up for me because I was afraid. And it wasn't really fear, because I shouldn't say that it wasn't really fear, but it was change. It was shift. It was elevating, pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. And so lucky for me, she was able to meet me where I was and call me on my shit. And I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what's happening, isn't it? Dang it. Okay, let's get real here, and let's, see if we can chunk this off into some smaller steps that feel a little bit more manageable to me. But yeah, it's the mindset that people have. And I think it's especially challenging. And I'm speaking from personal experience when it comes to the health and wellness field. There is a lot of emotional stuff that comes up, and what caused me to get to be over 300 and something pounds was stuff I had to really deal with. I had to look at that stuff. It wasn't just about the things that I was putting in my body. It was about the emotional piece and the internal work that I needed to do in addition to those other choices.
And old Arkwright just made a great point. He pointed out that nobody wants a journey where they think they won't enjoy the trip.
Exactly.
And that is sometimes one of the hardest things for me to get people past, because with what I do for them, the first week to 2 weeks sucks. It really does. And there's no way to change that, because they are literally detoxing and they're changing their preferential fuel in their body. So the best that I can do usually is tell them, yes, it sucks. It's going to suck for you. It sucked for the other people I've done this with. It sucked for me. But when you get on the other side of it, then you truly will enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Everything you eat from there on forward, not only is it going to be better for you, but it's going to taste better, perform better, and you will have a vibrancy you've never had before. But at that point, unfortunately, all I can sell is the promise, and past results. I can't get them past the suck, and I can't promise them it's not going to suck.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think Julie just raised a really good point. Give them the vision on the other side, and I think that's a great way of looking at it. Is what it's going to feel like, what you're going to feel like, what you're going to look like, your energy, your diabetes will be better, all of that, give them that vision of what it's going to look like on the other side, and just keep reassuring them of what a great job they're doing.
I think, Darla, I will give you a props, because the first time that Darla made me go through the ideal client profile workshop that she has, oh God, it's painful. And not for everyone. Some people love it, right? Some people love it. But for somebody like me who just can't wait, let's just freaking go. Can't wait to
get it done.
Come on, I need to know what I need to know already. It's oh God, I gotta sit here and I gotta think about this stuff, and I gotta think about their behavior, and I gotta think about their actions, and I gotta think about where they are, and I gotta think oh God, it was so. But the thing that she kept telling me is, remember, Em, you need to know this. You need to know this so that when you're marketing and when you're putting yourself out there, you're gonna. So you did a really, really good job keeping me connected to the end result that I was gonna get from that. And even after I did it the first time, I had to do it again and again and again. And each time it got a little more clear, and I probably could do it again.
We'll talk.
So I think that it's evident in all areas of our life, right? So kudos to you for keeping me connected to that.
Oh, well, thank you. But I think it comes down to if you're very passionate about it, and let's face it, we all are passionate about what we do. And if you know that you can get the results, then I think that shows through, that shines through. So, Jody, I can tell that you very much believe in this. You've seen the results, you've physically seen the results. And, that is, that in itself tells people, this has worked for me. Same thing for you, for what you've done. And I think that you just keep reassuring them and telling them it will be better on the other side, and sharing that with them will help a lot. I think that's great. Yeah. So let's hear. Crossword is easier when you do it the second time. First time is always the hardest. Yeah. And it always is. He's so good about that. Robert, you kill me. But it is. It's always harder on the other side. It's always harder to get started on the first time. But once you get doing it, it's gonna, you start to see results. You start to see. I just had coffee, or actually I had tea, because I gave up coffee. I don't drink coffee anymore. I had some tea this morning with my stevia, because I don't do sugar. And my girlfriend's like, I haven't seen her in about a month. And is that, yep. So there you go. And she's like, Darla, I can tell. And I'm like, really? Because I'm with my family all the time. And I've lost, 10-ish pounds, 11 pounds, something like that. And she's like, I can really tell. I'm like, oh my God. So just seeing those results, from other people telling you too, that, and you're like, okay, all right, I'm gonna do that much more this week. I'm gonna keep working at it. That makes a big difference too. So I keep losing my earbuds. I apologize, guys. It's popping out of my ad.
Sorry. I have to keep looking down to see the screen and then looking up to see my camera. So
oh yeah.
George Clooney on you, looking off to the side.
Yeah, it takes a little getting used to, that's for sure, with this. So does anybody else have any other questions, or do you have any other thoughts about this? I think this has been a great topic for us, talking about polarizing and being who you are. I think that's the biggest thing, is just staying true to who you are and what you do and who you serve, and just being the best. Just keep putting it out there and finding your tribe. So yeah. So any other questions you guys got, or does anybody want to hop in? I can open the seat.
I'll head out. Thank you, guys. I appreciate chatting.
I'm so glad you came in.
Appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Good luck with everything, Jody. And we hope you come back and join us again, because it was great having you on. Have you been on before? This is I've noticed.
Yeah, I've never on the camera, of course, but.
Oh, well, good. I'm so glad you hopped in. Yay.
Yep, I'm subscribed.
Yay! Well, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. I'm glad you hopped in and shared your story, and we hope that you've gotten some helpful things out of it. And I think what you're doing is very important, and to the people that want to, the people that need it, and the people that are ready to listen and to ready to make a difference. They'll find you, and so we're glad that you're here, and we're glad that you shared your story with us.
Well, thanks. I'm sure I'll see you again.
Absolutely. Hop in anytime.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Take care. Bye. Robert saying he was brave. Yes, he was. Okay, I guess I have to kick him. This sounds really bad that I have to kick him off. I don't understand this. This is new. I don't know why they're doing that.
Just since yesterday, huh?
Yeah, it keeps saying kick. I don't want to kick him off. He's already, that's odd. Yeah. So anyway, we're getting close to time. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm trying to hit the X and it's now, I'm saying kick.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. That's really odd. His window's still there. I know. And it's telling me that I have to kick him. Every time I hit the X to let him. Jody, I'm really not kicking you out. I'm just trying to close the window. I don't understand what it's doing. So, all right, Robert.
Blondes have more fun on Blab.
Yes, they do have more fun. They do have more fun. So, yes. have a stiff drink before you get in. No drinks needed. No, you don't need to have drinks here. But, it is Friday.
Right? And it's 5 o'clock where Robert's from now, right?
It is. Now? It is 5 o'clock. It is 5 o'clock. Or it's close to 5 o'clock his time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Blab's switching things up a little bit for us and stuff. I think I asked Jody where he's from. Oh. Jody, where's home for you? Wonder if that.
Let me
get South Carolina. Love South Carolina. It's one of my favorite states. It's beautiful down there. Yeah, you don't have the accent. You don't have that Southern drawl. I just noticed that. Yeah. So I think. So what do you think? You think? Does anybody else have any other? New York. I was going to say. You sound like you're not a Southern boy by heart. But I'm glad you're down there. It's a great state. It's a great area. Yeah. So any other things you want to add, Miss M, on being polarizing, or how did it go when you decided to? You want to finish up your story?
It was really a good experience for me to do the open letter response. And so for those of you, I didn't know what an open letter response was. I have a girlfriend who's a sales coach. And so I was talking to her about the situation, and she's the one who recommended it to me. Actually, she said, your audience can benefit from your experience here. And she said, I really think that you should respond to the letter and then post them side by side. And she said, so that people that struggle with, critics or roadblocks that come up for them can learn from your experience and how you're handling this. And so I thought, you know what, that's a really great idea. So I responded responded to the letter, and I responded the way that I would authentically respond. I stayed very grounded in my decision and who I am and why I'm the way I am. And at the same time, I allowed that person, I didn't criticize or judge their judgment of me, right? I allowed them to have that space just because I feel like it's really important. I don't want to be judged necessarily. So I work really hard not to put my judgments on other people. And so it was really wonderful. I got some people inboxed me and said, thank you very much for sharing that. Like, it really gave me hope and inspiration. I'm gonna get up against this and this. And a lot of people commented on the actual post and just shared their feedback. Some people were like, oh, keep your chin up, oh, that kind of thing. And it was like, that wasn't the purpose of it at all. It really, although it is, I reflected on it for over a week, like, okay, is there anything that I can do to add value? Like, do I need to take some of this, what's being said here to light? Because I am open to feedback and to criticism. And I always feel like it's good to reflect on other people's opinions of us to really decide if there's some value there that we can use. And I'm always working to be a better version of me. So I reflected on it, and then I kind of decided, no, like, I'm good with that post. Like, I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. I don't think I would have changed anything. I'm not going to change the way that I position myself and how I speak to my people. And so I'm good with it. And I think it was good. I think it allowed people to see, another layer of transformation or another layer of transparency that I have. And it allowed me to really put myself out there. Some people were like, why would you ever put that out there? And I'm like, because it's okay. Like, I don't care that they,
Right.
you know, are criticizing me. Like, I'm not trying to live in this, and I don't do everything perfectly. So, you know, and nor do I strive to do everything perfectly, right? A better version of me isn't about perfection. So,
Exactly.
it was a good, overall, it was a really, really wonderful experience for me. And it has given me a lot of opportunity like this to be able to discuss it and have great, you know, just a great forum for, you know, let's talk about some of these things that come up for people sometimes. So.
Yeah. And I think, you know, in the end, you have to do what's right for you. And I think that, you know, I think about being transparent. I think you did the right thing. You know, I think, you know, addressing it, and that just to me aligned yourself with more the people that get it and admire you and like you. You know, they will like you that much more. Right. And they will trust you that much more because you stay true to what you believe and what you feel is, your best version of yourself. And so being transparent is, I think, always a good thing to do. I mean, there's, there's things that I think, don't always need to be said and things like that, and being responsible and being professional. But I think being transparent and being authentic to who you are is always the right way to go. So I'm so glad that you did it. And it did make a great conversation for us here, I think. Yeah, I think it really did. And that's something that I think, the more I think you do that, the more, the right people will find you. And sometimes it's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
It's not. It's just not. So just knowing that helps too. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have to run. I have a client here, so I got a jet. So Thank you guys so much for today. I had a great time, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks, not next week, but the week after.
Yeah. So you guys let us know if there's, and you can always send us a message on Twitter. You can always join us there on Twitter, and you can let us know if there's a topic that you want to talk about or something that is bothering you. We'd love to know so that we can talk about it, because we're doing this really for everybody here. So we really want to make sure that we're answering your needs and maybe helping you out with some struggles or challenges that you're dealing with your journey. So let us know. Don't be shy. Em and I are both very approachable, as you can tell, and we love to have you have your topic. So let us know, and hope you guys have a great weekend. Have a great week. Have a great week. Go get them, and So, here's a business topic. So Robert's having, why do people like abbreviated words and think doing so is important? I don't know, Robert. That's a good question. So and maybe we can talk about that. Maybe we can talk about that on Twitter and see how that goes. So you guys, thanks for joining us here today. You guys have a great week. Have a great, awesome weekend. And we will see you in 2 weeks here on Friday, 2 weeks on Friday at 10:30. So you guys take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.